The alarm goes off at 6:47 a.m. I reach over and hit snooze. Not because I'm tired, but because for the first time in 10 years, I can. I spent 10 years waking up to someone else's schedule. 10 years of trading my best hours for a safe paycheck that never quite felt like enough. 10 years in finance. 10 years of suits and spreadsheets and performance reviews, and the quiet, nagging feeling that I was building someone else's future while mine waited patiently on hold. And then one day I stopped hitting snooze on the idea that had been living in the back of my mind for years. I left. I walked away from the salary, the title, the security, all of it, to invest in real estate full time. That decision changed everything. And today I'm going to share everything I wish someone had told me before I made it. I want to be upfront about something before we get into this. I am not here to romanticize leaving a corporate job. I'm not going to tell you that quitting is brave or that staying is settling. What I am going to tell you is what I actually learned, the things nobody talks about, the math that made it possible, the moment I almost went back, and the mindset shift that made sure I didn't. This is the video I needed 10 years ago, and if you're somewhere between a paycheck and a plan right now, this one is for you. For 10 years, I worked in finance. Good salary, good benefits, good title. By every external measure, I was doing well. But there's something that happens when you spend enough time in a corporate environment that nobody warned you about. The paycheck stops feeling like income and starts feeling like a lease agreement. You lease your time, your energy, your best hours, and the payment comes every 2 weeks, right on schedule, just enough to keep you comfortable enough not to leave. That comfort is the trap, not the job itself, the comfort. I wasn't miserable. That's the part that made it harder to leave. If I had been miserable, the decision would have been easy, but I was comfortable, and comfortable is the place where years disappear without you noticing. What finally broke through that comfort was a single question I started asking myself every Sunday night before the work week began. If I knew my income was secure, would I still be here? The answer, honestly, was no, and once I admitted that, everything started to shift. I didn't leave on emotion, I left on math. Before I handed in my resignation, I spent almost a year building what I call my survival number. Not my dream number, not the income I wanted eventually, just the bare minimum monthly cash flow I needed to cover my life without touching my savings. I went through every single expense: rent, food, insurance, transportation, subscriptions, everything. And I came up with a number, the exact monthly income that meant I could breathe without a salary. Then I built my real estate portfolio around that number. My first rental property wasn't glamorous. It was a single-family home in a working-class neighborhood. Nothing about it made a great Instagram post. But after the mortgage, the taxes, the insurance, and a buffer for maintenance, it cash flowed. Every month, money came in that I didn't have to show up for. I kept my corporate job while I built. That's something people don't talk about enough. I wasn't brave enough to jump without a net, so I built the net first. For 2 years, I ran both. The job paid the bills, the properties built the foundation. By the time I left, my real estate income covered 80% of my survival number. I had savings to cover the gap for 12 months while the portfolio grew. The math said I could go, so I went. The lesson here isn't that you need to be rich to leave. It's that you need a number, a real, specific, honest number, and a plan to reach it before you make the leap. The scariest moment wasn't the day I quit. It was the first Tuesday of the next month when no direct deposit hit my account. For 10 years, that deposit was my heartbeat. Twice a month, without fail, the number appeared and everything felt okay. And then it didn't appear. My bills were exactly the same, my account stayed exactly where it was, and for the first time I felt the full weight of what I had done. I sat with my phone in my hand, my old boss's number on the screen, thumb hovering. I almost made that call. And then I opened my notebook to the page where I had written my survival number math. I looked at the rental income coming in at the end of the month. I looked at the 12-month runway I had built, and I realized something clearly for the first time. I wasn't failing, I was just in the gap between two lives. The salary was gone, but the system I had spent 2 years building was still there, still working, still generating income that I didn't have to sit at anyone's desk. I didn't need a job, I just needed to trust the system I had already built. I put the phone down, opened my laptop, got back to work. That moment taught me more about investing and about myself than anything that happened in 10 years in finance. Here are the things I wish someone had told me before I made this transition. Not the motivational version, the honest version. 1. Your identity is more tied to your job than you think. I didn't realize how much of my self-worth was wrapped up in my title until I didn't have one. The first few months after leaving, people would ask what I did, and I would stumble over the answer. I invest in real estate didn't feel like enough. It took time to own it fully. If you're planning to leave, prepare for that psychological shift. It's real, and it takes longer than you expect. 2. Cash flow is not the same as wealth. When I started in real estate, I was obsessed with cash flow. Monthly income, passive income, replace your salary income. And cash flow matters. It's what gave me the freedom to leave. But the real wealth in real estate is built through appreciation, equity, and smart refinancing over time. Cash flow buys your freedom. Equity builds your future. You need both in your thinking from day one. 3. Vacancies will happen, and they will test you. My second property sat vacant for 6 weeks. 6 weeks of carrying the mortgage with no rent coming in. I had budgeted for it, I knew vacancies were part of the business, but knowing something intellectually and living it financially are two completely different things. Build your vacancy buffer before you need it, not after. 4. The best deals are not always the most obvious ones. I spent months looking at turnkey properties with strong listed cash flow. The deals that actually moved my portfolio forward were messier. Properties that needed work, neighborhoods that were transitioning, sellers who were motivated for reasons that had nothing to do with the property's value. Real estate rewards patience and research more than it rewards speed. 5. Your network becomes your most valuable asset. After I left corporate finance, I thought I was leaving my professional network behind. What I actually found was that the relationships I had built over 10 years in finance, accountants, attorneys, analysts, lenders, became the foundation of how I operated as a full-time investor. Your corporate career builds skills and relationships that are worth far more in real estate than most people realize. Don't leave without taking inventory of what you're taking with you. If you are currently in a corporate job and real estate investing is on your mind, here is the framework I would use if I were starting today. Step 1. Calculate your survival number. Add up every monthly expense. Be honest. Don't round down. Don't exclude the things you'll think you'll cut when you leave. Calculate the exact number that keeps your life running without stress. Step 2. Build to 100% of your survival number before you leave. Not 80%, not close enough. 100% of your survival number in reliable monthly cash flow from your properties before you hand in your resignation. When I left at 80%, I had savings to cover the gap. But if I were advising someone today, I would tell them to get to 100% first. The gap months are harder than you think. Step 3. Keep 12 months of personal expenses in liquid savings, separate from your investment capital, separate from your emergency fund. 12 months of personal runway so that a vacancy, a repair, or a slow acquisition period doesn't force you into a decision you're not ready to make. Step 4. Have your next acquisition identified before you leave. The worst thing you can do in the transition period is sit without a clear next move. Know what your next property is, where the financing is coming from, and what the timeline looks like before you leave the salary behind. Momentum matters more in the early months than almost anything else. Step 5. Give yourself a 90-day evaluation period. Don't judge the decision in the first month. The first month is disorienting for almost everyone who makes this transition. Give yourself 90 days of focused execution before you assess how it's going. The emotions of month 1 are not a reliable indicator of where you'll be in month 6. I hit snooze this morning, not because I'm lazy, not because I don't have work to do, but because the work is mine, the schedule is mine, the day is mine. That is what 10 years of a corporate salary, 2 years of building while employed, 1 moment of almost calling my old boss back, and everything I learned in between actually bought me. Not just income, not just properties, ownership of my time, my decisions, and my mornings. If you were sitting where I was sitting, comfortable enough to stay but restless enough to wonder, I want to leave you with this. The gap between two lives is real. It is uncomfortable. It will test you in ways you don't expect, but it is crossable with the right math, the right preparation, and the willingness to trust a system you build before you need it. You don't have to be reckless to be free. You just have to be ready. And getting ready starts today.